Welcome, everyone. Get out of here. Get out of here. I got Panda chilling with me. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, it's going to be a late one, man. So nothing real pressing on the agenda today. We're just hanging out. I'm still up. I mean, I'm a night owl anyway, and just finished up in well, good for you, Jen Perry. Congratulations. Uh just finished up being in chat of Josh's live. He's still live if you like to listen to Josh play guitar and sing. So go ahead and check that out if you want. But he was going over the interviews that I went over last night, and they were oh, Josh isn't super vanilla. Now, we were talking about one thing here. Now, let's be honest, since it is late night talking, and y'all know I'm not vanilla. So yeah, and we were kind of speculating as to what Brian's defense might have been had he gone to trial, had he not unalived himself and gone to trial. And I brought up one of the common things that are said quite a bit, which is rough sex gone wrong, possibly. Oh, the thumbnail. Yeah, you don't get it. You don't get the thumbnail, Brian, pointing his thumb at the self checkout. You know it. Come on, are you getting it? Are you getting it? Some people might think that that's in poor taste. Well, I am what I am. It is what it is, people. Sorry. Not sorry at all. Not even a little bit. If I'm being totally honest, I don't care. But yeah, it's exactly, Cherry. I just brought it up that, I mean, I'm not saying that I believe that that's what happened at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I don't think that that's even in the slightest bit what happened. But it's definitely a possibility that he would use that for his defense, I think. But I mean, let's be honest, people. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. I mean, now Josh was saying when I mentioned it in the comments in the thread, he mentioned that he spoke to an expert, and the expert said that she didn't think it was as common as we think. But let me put it like this. Panda, shut up. Let me put it like this. If I had $1 for every time someone that I was sharing a bed with said the words, "Choke me, daddy," I'd probably be driving a Tesla myself. Just saying. Just saying. Okay? Yeah. Just saying. Anyway. That's what drinks do, Jen Perry. It's the slimmer. It slims. It slims. Yeah. That's what booze does. Type of a lot of ladies in here. There's not a whole lot of people in the chat tonight. It's cool. I like it to be a little bit more intimate sometimes, because we don't have anything real pressing to talk about tonight. But let's have a little honesty in the chat, okay? If you're a lady or a man, who cares? Doesn't matter. And you in the heat of passion, as they say, have used the words "choke me" during the throes of passion. Type a 1 if you have. Let's see who's going to be honest here. Yes, Cherry, we know. Thank you. Jeez, that's a bummer. If Strong Mama, if you've ever in the throes of passion used the words choke me. No love for the chokers in chat. Man, that is rough, dude. That's all maybe these are the type of people that I attract to my chat. Maybe that's the case, but I'm going to go ahead and say it is as common as we think. Yeah, it is as common as we think. Totally. And yeah, and that's cool too, man. You know, there's nothing. I'm not. Let me explain. I'm not criticizing anybody's preferences or what gets them going and what doesn't. I'm not here to criticize anybody. Whatever anything that for me, it's anything is that involves two or more consenting adults and only consenting adults. It's all good. No judgment. None at all. That's how that's how I roll anyway. No kink shaming indeed. We don't do that here. We do not do that here. Whatever you're into, and that's cool as long as it involves consenting adults. I agree. Like I said, it's not something that I believe. That wouldn't fly with me. If I was on the jury, I would be having the same conversation with my other 11 colleagues, with my 11 peers. I'd be going, I don't know about all that. Let me tell you why. I have a worse story, actually. I have a worse story. But I can't tell that story here. I can't. Uh I'll tell that story in Patreon. How's that? I'll tell that story in Patreon. My Patreon members can absolutely handle that story. But YouTube, the ad people, no, they can't handle that story. Here, look who shows up. What's up, Annie? I'm late, but was the argument that it could be argued a sex injury? If so, if she were clothed or not, and the positioning of her clothes. So, if so, would be able to. Okay. Well, what I was saying was, I was having a very friendly. I was in Josh's chat, and we were kind of speculating as to what the argument might be. What say Brian didn't unalive himself, and let's say it went to trial, what would his defense be? And I brought up he might try to argue that it was rough sex that went too far. And Josh tried to say that it was not, based on a conversation, and in all fairness, based on a conversation that he had with an expert. That expert claimed that it is not as common as we might think. And I just kind of did a little I kind of did a little survey here in the chat as to, and I mentioned that if I had $1 for every time I heard the words choke me in bed, I would be driving a Tesla like Josh, is what I said. But I guess it's the type of people we hang out with, or who we don't hang out with. I guess more or less that kind of probably plays into it. But yeah, my chat, they seem to be confirming that it's pretty common. It's subject at hand, which I'm about to change. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over an interview that Brian Etten did with law enforcement. And let me go ahead and cue that up real quick.
Hustle or knowledge. It was just
No, we need to
sometimes
start
things
this
happen.
over.
So many people don't understand how there was this 5-week search and then all of a sudden the laundries go out at 7 a.m. and less than an hour later, personal items found and then the remains. Do you, I mean,
over and over again. So it almost seems par for the course in this, unfortunately.
I didn't say it would fly in court. I'm just saying that's probably a defense that he
coincidence.
might try to go with.
That's my belief, wholeheartedly.
Do you think the parents knew that Brian may have gone out there to commit suicide? Do you have any information that they've known that all along?
I think that that's been on the table from the beginning. I think that that is certainly a possibility.
Was Brian Laundrie followed by
Interesting.
police to the reserve?
No. Our intention was to keep an eye on Brian, and clearly him going out there.
Yeah, how good of a job did you do, though?
So he left in the Mustang and no one knew that he left in the Mustang.
That's correct.
I mean, isn't it?
How do you know no one knew that? I mean, how do you not know that? Hold on a second.
Watching? I mean,
I pause this as I talk about this. How is this law enforcement officer trying to convince us that no one knew that he left in the Mustang? How do you not notice that the Mustang isn't there? I notice that it's there every single time I see protesters in front of their house. So how are you supposed to expect us to believe, Mr. Detective standing there? How do you expect us to believe that no one noticed that he left in the Mustang? Did you just really say that out loud on TV? What?
Like fall asleep? Yeah. I mean, how do you, it's not like he snuck out the back if he left out in the front in the Mustang.
Well, again, he wasn't wanted. There's certain things you can do with surveillance and intelligence when you're at a certain point in an investigation, when there's certain charges, where there's these types of things. It just, we weren't there at that point in the case.
Cause of death for Brian Laundrie, will we ever know based on the condition of the remains?
I think so. I think that that'll be something that they piece together. There was bones scattered around. So I think you have to put all that back together and then work on those details.
Do you know if there was a gun found?
I have no permissions to reveal anything other than what's been said as far as what was found there at that location.
What is the status of the notebook?
Worst
kind of
movie
outside
ever.
Of my purview here at the Northport Police Department. Certainly the FBI has that. They will utilize every tool that they have to make sure that it's handled with care. It was wet, and certainly making sure that's dried out and been able to go through will be very important.
Do you know if is anything in it legible at this point? Do you know?
I believe that there are some things that can be revealed from that. I'm not privy to exactly what's in there.
I know that Northport PD has really been under the microscope, and a lot of people are upset. I mean, the Brian Laundrie disappeared, and that the search didn't result in anything. I mean, do you think mistakes were made? Is Northport PD owning some of this?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that any investigation works 100% like you want it to, 100% perfectly. What I'll say is that
this guy has a completely different tone about him, doesn't he? You remember the last time I played an interview with this guy, Josh Taylor? I knew you were going to do that, Cherry. If you remember the last time, this guy was like super flustered and frustrated, man. He was really mad. And when they asked him, why did did it take the parents so long to report Brian missing? He goes, man, that is a really good question. I will never forget that. But here we have him with the, he's wearing a jacket and he's hair's combed real nice, and he's handling this a little bit different.
We were the ones doing everything in our power to get answers on this. This was not, if mistakes were made, there's human error involved with every investigation. It certainly wasn't from a lack of taking it seriously or hustle or knowledge. It was just sometimes things happen.
And Brian, one of the big questions is.
Okay. And he's got an important question here. And a good question too. If there's no gun, how do people suspect he unalived himself? If there was a gun, could he still be tied to Kellen and Crystal? Yeah, guys, by the way, Annie from 10 to Life here, she did a very, very, very interesting video on Kellen and Crystal's unfortunate and tragic demise. And even though law enforcement says that these cases are not connected, Annie points out a lot of important things in that video that she made, and if you're not subscribed to Annie, make sure that you are. Cherry just dropped her link in the chat, but make sure to watch that video because she makes some really, really interesting points. Because I was like, well, you know what? If law enforcement says they're not connected, then they're not connected. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if considering all of the public attention on this case, well, yeah, Annie's actually real crime, but she just doesn't know it. But yeah, she's real crime. Real crime, guys. If you guys want real good real crime, subscribe to Annie. Anyway, but it wouldn't be the first time that in a high profile case that law enforcement has lied to the public in order to maintain the integrity of their ongoing investigation. So I'm not completely dismissing that. It's very hard to drown or suffocate oneself, especially if he ended up on the ground and didn't use any hanging methods. So I wonder his cause of death. I would assume gun, which then was he involved? Right. That's a good question. Because I think the only way that this guy even removes the guts to unalive himself is with a gun. Now, as far as whether or not I think that he did unalive himself, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe, but I'm not dismissing the possibility that that he fell to his demise via the elements of the Carlton Reserve, the natural elements of the Carlton Reserve. I mean, it's wild in Florida swamps. Florida swamps are wild. There's all kinds of stuff in Florida swamps. And you have panthers, you have gators, you have poisonous snakes. I mean, it just, yeah. So yeah, right, exactly. A hanging, he'd probably still be hanging. That's what I'm thinking too, Annie. I'm hoping that it was something like that. I'm hoping that it was something like that. So we'll see. We'll find out at some point. I'm surprised we found out that it was him as quickly as we did, as a matter of fact. But there is a good chance that it was the elements. Yes, there's absolutely a good chance. Right, exactly. Ripped apart by a panther. Word. Word. All right, let's see.
How did Brian Laundrie slip out from underneath their
Does anybody
view
know if
when
that
he was at the
Banfield interview
home?
is available?
You have now
But
learned that
I
they've
feel
got
like it might be
cameras set up
copyrighted, and I'm
outside
scared
the Laundrie
of
home.
getting
Police
struck.
do.
But
Yeah, we've known this for quite some time, that there are these hidden cameras around the house. We discovered it close to a month ago, but obviously chose not to report it because no one knew where Brian Laundrie was at that point. We didn't want to interfere with the investigation. We know
Good
of at
for you,
least two.
Brian.
There was one behind the house,
I like
put
Brian.
in a neighbor's yard. There's another camera that was actually hid in a dumpster. We're told that at least some of the cameras did go up before Brian Laundrie disappeared.
And they're not saying yet what those cameras reveal.
Yeah, I'd rather it be meth
Brian
gators,
Ensign
for sure.
live for us in Northport, Florida tonight. Brian, thank you.
All right. Let me see if I wonder if Ooh. No. All right. Let's just go there. Yeah, so I wonder, let me see real quick. I'm going to see if I can find Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything new, or it hasn't dropped on YouTube yet. Oh, wait. I've only got a minute and 59 seconds of it. Seems like that's the only thing available. But all right. So let's see if we can get at least that 1 minute. So there's only a clip that was dropped of Ashley Banfield's interview with the Laundrie's lawyer. If anybody didn't get angry enough between last night and tonight, well, guess what? I'm here to help you out. I'm here to help you out. Hello. All right. Oh, I want it. Dude. Old Steve-O Bertolino. But it's for some reason not showing up like on my history here. So that's annoying. Found it on my phone. There we go. Okay.
Stephen, there's a critical question here. I have 2 minutes left until the end of the show, but I must get you on. Back with Mr. Bertolino, the Laundrie's lawyer. Stephen, there's a critical question here. I have 2 minutes left until the end of the show, but I must get you on the record on this. You told me at the beginning of the show that you spoke with the Laundrie family together on the 12th and the 13th of September. That's Sunday and Monday, and he went for his walk on the Monday.
All right,
but if you spoke with all three of them together, there is no privilege.
Love you too.
And you know that as a lawyer. So what did Brian say about what happened to Gabby Petito on that Sunday and that Monday before he left for the swamp?
Okay, so Ashley, if you heard what I said, I had multiple conversations with the Laundries. I had private conversations with Chris, private conversations with Brian, and I had conversations with Chris and Roberta, and I had conversations with them together. You know, I know these people. Some of parts of the conversations when they were all together had nothing to do with attorney-client privilege. And a lot
when you
to do
were
with just
together, what
catching
did
up.
he tell you? Because there's no privilege when you're all together talking. And you did say on this program that you did
get
have
'em, Ashley.
conversations both days with them all together as a family meeting. What did they tell you? Because that isn't privileged.
I disagree. I think, you know, you can represent multiple clients, as you know. You can get waivers of representation, as you know.
No, you can't. You can't have that conversation in criminal proceedings.
Get him.
That does mean that the privilege is waived. You can do it in real estate. And, you know, gosh, will you come back on Monday? I have 22 seconds left until the black cutoff of this program happens. But I am not finished my conversation with you, Mr. Berlino. Would you come back Monday?
I don't think that's possible. Someone else wants me
Yes,
on
it has
Monday.
to be.
I don't know why.
I'm calling you Monday, Mr. Berlino. Thank you for spending the hour with us.
Oh, I wish I could hear that whole interview.
You too.
Man. That was like, come on, Jolene. Come on, baby girl. Good girl. It was gutsy of her. Lay down. Jolene, don't just stand there like a weirdo. Good girl. Good girl. It was gutsy of her to point, like she went for the jugular, man. She was like, no, don't even try that, dude. Okay. It's not privileged. It does not fall under attorney-client privilege when it is a group setting, right? When it is a group setting, when it is a family meeting, it does not fall under attorney-client privilege and confidentiality. So what was said during that meeting when you were all together, what was actually said? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. But the problem was she didn't have enough time left. She had 22 seconds left. And oh man. Yeah, she was like, yeah, and every time this dude tried to say, she was like, nope, that's not true. That's not true. Don't even try that. Man, dude, I would love to see that entire interview. And I hope that he does go back. But she just showed her card. She was just like, yeah, dude, like she just totally she totally kind of, showed her cards and was like, yeah, if you come back Monday, I'm not letting you off the hook. Like, I'm going to corner you and force you to answer questions that you don't want to answer. Man, this coffee is the worst, dude. So like I ran out of coffee. What happened was I had to use it's like 1 scoop, right? For the coffee maker. So I'm basically drinking like hot water and creamer, sugar-free creamer at that. But it's whatever. Poor folks' life could be worse. Draper Lawson, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I said this multiple times last night. I'm going to keep saying it. I honestly, truly believe that that Brian Laundrie would still be alive today had the family not followed the advice of this idiot of an attorney. I mean, yeah, he would absolutely be alive today. And the fact that this guy has spent all this time going on people's, TV channels and talking and being interviewed as to, and trying to be like this. Today isn't about Gabby. I can't believe he actually said that, but he's like, today isn't actually about Gabby. Today's actually about Brian and how tragic it is that the Laundries lost their son. No, dude. No. First of all, it's always about Gabby. It is always 100% about Gabby. This whole thing, as long as we are talking about this, it is about Gabby, period. Lindsay Rojo, welcome to Patreon. Oh, wait. Oh, looks like we got the whole interview, folks. Thanks to Cherry. Let me Oh yeah, okay, guys, get comfortable because we're gonna be here a minute. Thank you, Cherry. Did I mention that Cherry is the best mod in the world? Yesterday was Cherry Appreciation Day, but just for old time's sake, can I get everybody in the chat to just blast the chat with cherry emojis for her being the greatest mod of all time ever to walk the face of the earth and float around on the internets? Please. Thank you. Panda, shut up. And you, Leo, shut up over there. I said shut up, fool. Yo, what part of shut up don't you get, bruh? Hold up. Leo, shut the... You're the only fool over there barking, too. Only 843 views. That don't make no sense. Here in the South, I notice people spell sense S-I-N-C-E. Don't make no sense. Always gets on my nerve when I see that. Every time. Don't make no sense. All right, here we go, folks. Here we go. All right.
Hours before the
Come on, Banfield.
star and the producer fired a deadly shot from a prop gun while rehearsing for the movie.
Yeah, let me touch on that for just a second. So we all know about Alec Baldwin, right? We know about Alec Baldwin, and he one person is injured and another person is no longer with us. And they weren't even cast members of the movie. They were crew members. One of them was the director of cinematography, I believe. And here's the thing, and I hate to get too political. I know I'm going to piss some people off here with what I'm about to say, but the fact of the matter is, and this is something you're not going to be able to dispute me on. You're just not going to be able to, because here's the thing. Alec Baldwin is vocally anti-guns, right? Vocally. He's very big on being anti-gun. And it was not a prop gun. It was a real gun that was supposed to fire blank rounds. Okay. Now, as I feel bad for Alec Baldwin, I can't imagine. I know that this was completely an accident. I don't think that he had any malicious intent in the slightest bit whatsoever. He must feel awful. He must be absolutely devastated. And I feel very, very bad for him. I absolutely do empathize and sympathize with him. But the fact that he is anti-gun, so vocally anti-gun, okay, yet he chooses to take roles that require him in the films that he's in to use real guns, right? So isn't it safe to assume that if somebody is so anti-gun, yet they willingly take roles that they use real guns, blank rounds, by the way, mind you, given blank rounds, okay, wouldn't it make sense that if you're so anti-gun and you take these roles and you are going to use real guns on set, that you would take the initiative to practice gun safety? I mean, am I wrong? In my opinion, Alec Baldwin is absolutely accountable. Not exclusively accountable. Whoever loaded the gun is also accountable. First of all, live rounds should have never even gotten on set in the first place. Secondly, the fact that this person couldn't tell the difference between a blank round and a live round. If anybody's ever seen a blank round, I have actually played with an AK-47 with blank rounds once. And it has the tip of the round is like crunched up, right? The like a live round, you'll see it's what a bullet looks like. But imagine the tip of that bullet not actually having anything on the inside, and the metal around it is crunched into kind of a star shape, more or less. So you wish. So it's very, my point is that you're not going to miss this. You're going to see this, right? But Alec Baldwin, being the holder of the gun, being the person that is handling a firearm, and he is anti-gun. And why would somebody be anti-gun? Well, because they believe those guns, these guns are very, very dangerous, and somebody could get killed. Somebody could get hurt or otherwise, which is exactly what happened. So if I'm Alec Baldwin and I'm anti-gun, I'm going to make a habit of taking the initiative if I'm going to choose to work with guns, because I probably, if I'm so vocally anti-gun, I'm probably not going to work with guns at all. You know what I mean? I'm not going to work with them at all. Why would I? They're evil. I want to get rid of them. I'm not going to play a role in a movie that may or may not glorify the use of guns. But let's just say that I decide to, right? Well, what I'm going to do as the handler of that gun is I'm going to practice gun safety, because I am going to be of the belief, common sense would dictate to me, that it is on me to make sure that this gun is safe. It's on me, right? I mean, so Alec Baldwin, although I don't believe that criminal charges should be should be filed on him, I do believe that the families of these victims definitely have grounds for a civil suit, and he should absolutely be held accountable, and he should have to pay and restitute these people as best as possible. That's my personal belief. So that's my take on the issue, and I'm going to leave it at that. So,
welcome to Banfield. When the manhunt for Brian Laundrie ended, a whole new chapter in this saga began. The questions that have been so confounding. Why did Brian leave his fiancée in Wyoming? What was his state of mind before he left home for the reserve?
All great questions.
What, if any, role did he play in the death of Gabby Petito? Fortunately, I'm joined by the man who has a lot of those answers, possibly the attorney for the Laundrie family, Stephen P. Bertolino. Mr. Bertolino, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you've known the family for decades, so this is an emotional time for them, probably for you as a friend, but you're also, their attorney. So I'm very thankful that you're here to answer questions on their behalf. And I'd like to just start with the simple. When did you become involved with the Laundrie family?
He still should have,
as their attorney pertaining to this particular case?
Yes. Good evening, Ashley, and thank you for having me. I would say that was on September 11th.
So you didn't speak with
that's
Brian
what this is,
or Roberta or Chris
Island Girl,
between September 1st, when he arrived back in Florida, and September 11th, 10 days later?
I can tell you I didn't say that. What I can tell you is any conversations I had with Brian, Chris, and Roberta would be privileged and confidential. What you asked
he's already
me was,
playing
when
this
did
card.
I become involved for this particular case, and it was on September 11th.
So then presumably before September 11th, if you had conversations with them, say September 1st to September 11th, those 10 days, those would not be privileged because you hadn't been retained as counsel?
Huh.
Well, that's not true either, because I've been the Laundrie family attorney for well over 20 years. So any conversations I have with them with respect to legal matters would be privileged and confidential.
So when Brian came home to Northport on the 1st, as is evidenced by a card reader, a license plate reader, seeing the white van coming home, how did you have your first engagement with the family? Was it a family meeting? Was it a conference call? Like, how did you first connect with them after he had
She's basically just kind of lubing him up.
Again, any conversation I've had with Chris, Roberta, and Brian, was by telephone. But the dates and what we discussed are all attorney-client privileged and confidential. And I'm sorry to say that I can't speak about those things.
Counselor, I fully understand that you cannot reveal those privileged engagements, the content within. I'm just sort of going around the contours of it, if you'd allow me to. And that is that I'm just curious about, because you're, as I understand it, I'm talking to you in Long Island, correct?
That's correct.
And the Laundries have always been in Northport.
So he's in Long Island?
No, they haven't always been in Northport. They lived on Long Island for many years. I don't know exactly how many years they've moved down to Florida.
Sure.
But,
Understand.
So she's trying to get down to the nature of
this
their
particular engagement, say
association.
from September 1st on. You did not go to Northport to engage with them. You really had to do this from afar.
That's correct. Everything has been, by telephone, text message, or
No, this is a different one, Luna.
how should we say, FaceTime.
Or sort of these group Zooms.
And I got to point
family,
out, I
group,
can't stand. I couldn't stand her coverage of the Watts case. That got on my nerves. That was pure tabloid crap.
Time with a group Zoom like this?
This is a little different.
No, we didn't. We didn't do something like that.
Conference calls?
We've had a couple of conference calls, yes.
And when you had the conference calls, I mean, I'm just thinking of myself as a mother. And if my son were, engaging with our attorney, it would be difficult. And I was curious about how Mrs. Laundrie's reactions were, how she was digesting. And again, you don't have to tell me what you were discussing. I understand that's privilege. But just the reaction, the nature, and the sort of taking all of the information in real time. How did she manage that?
Ashley, I don't want to give you an interview where I can't answer any of your questions, but
why can't you answer that? That's a simple question. That doesn't
are going to border on the attorney-client confidentiality that I can't answer. If you're asking me, in general, what has been, Roberta Laundrie's demeanor and disposition over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I can tell you she's been very upset. She's again been distraught, and in the last couple of days she's grieving.
Fully understand. And again, I'm not going to press you on what was said.
But
I'm
nobody
again
cares.
trying to go around
You
the
know what I
outside
mean?
as best
I'm
I can
sorry,
to get
but nobody feels bad for her.
The color, the essence, and the feel of what the family was going through in those early days between September 1st and September 11th, when Gabby Petito was declared missing, and even thereafter. Up until the 13th, when Brian himself left for the hike and didn't come back. I guess all I'm trying to get a feel for is that the family meeting with you were the can I put it this way?
Go.
When you had the family meeting with them via electronics, was it a happy occasion?
Often I tell people as an attorney, I often don't get to deal with that on happy occasions. So, you're using a term happy that I would never use. What I can tell you is every conversation's been serious. Every conversation that I've had,
why is it so difficult?
Client, doesn't necessarily border on happy.
Why is it so difficult for him to just simply say no? They were very upset. You know what I mean? Like, why, why would they? It doesn't make sense that he would dance around that question at all.
And I don't mean to beat you up on the use of that word, but what I can tell you is I'm not at liberty to discuss anything prior to September 11th.
Yeah, you are.
You can ask me many different ways, but I'm going to keep giving you the same answer. All of that is going to be attorney-client privilege. Anything after
Without
September
divulging,
11th,
sure. Without divulging anything they said, were they at least all three of them, able to engage with you and fill you in on their perspectives of anything that you were discussing?
on September 12th and September 13th, yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
All three of them could fill you in on how things were going within the household. Your discussion as a group was full and rich, and you could get a feel for what was happening in that household through your conversation with the three of them.
I had private conversations with Brian. I had private conversations with Chris. And
I asked this question last night too,
Christy. With Chris and Roberta separately.
Christy, I'm with you on that. Why is he taking interviews? If he can't talk, why not just release statements? Tweet statements. That's it. But why are you going on TV and giving these extensive interviews? This interview is 43 minutes long, dude. So am I going to have to listen to 43 minutes of this guy going, I can't answer that? Is that what we're going to be doing? Because
I can tell you that, I had an understanding of, how the house was functioning at that point in time.
But you didn't have the family together, the family unit together to find out how they were coping as a unit.
There were a couple of conversations where, all, three members of the family in that household were together. Yes.
Okay. So presumably, and what days were those conversations? Because it's, the mood and the change in what happened in the dynamic of that family is important. What days did you have those conversations where you knew how all three of them were feeling at the same time?
I'm really getting money for this. I wouldn't doubt it.
Sunday the 12th and Monday the 13th.
So those are critical days. Can you tell me the demeanor of Brian Laundrie on the 12th and on the 13th? And when I ask you about demeanor, I'd like to try to get specific. Did he seem suicidal?
No. And I literally just spoke to the family, Chris and Roberta, maybe 45 minutes ago. And, we repeated this conversation or that question.
Purely self-serving.
Brian was not, outwardly suicidal. And what Mrs. Laundrie, what Roberta just said to me, she goes, how do you really know, what do you really know what somebody's thinking? And, we can suspect what their mood might be, but what do you really know what's going on inside? And I can tell you that, Brian was alert. He was coherent. When he was speaking with me, I had no inclination or indication that he would hurt himself.
I have heard you say
this guy's unbelievable.
Just in the last
See,
24 hours.
What I think took place here, what I simply think took place here was he says that he spoke to him on the 12th and the 13th. The 13th is when they reported him missing, correct? So what I'm thinking is if he spoke to Brian on the 12th and the 13th, he probably told Brian, you know what, dude, here's the issue. Like, you're gonna have to, you're probably going to prison. Probably. I could probably get the death penalty taken off the table, but you're probably gonna have to spend the rest of your life in prison. Brian says, what? Oh man, that's awful. Oh no. And then takes off. And then he probably sends a text to his mom or his dad, indicating that he might do something to hurt himself in some way, shape, or form. And then they filed a missing persons report. Now, when people are asking, there's a lot of people asking, well, don't they wait like 24 hours to start searching for somebody if they file a missing persons report? Well, typically, yeah. But in Florida and a lot of other states have something similar, but I know in Florida it's called a Baker Act. And a Baker Act in Florida basically is when you go to a judge and you're able to get a court order to apprehend someone by force, if necessary, because that person has indicated that they could be a danger to themselves or others. So they probably had all the grounds in the world to get this Baker Act issued and to go in front of a judge. And that can happen like that. That's all it takes. You go to a judge, you go to the courthouse, you file for it, and then they get it. And because time is of the essence, obviously, because this person is obviously probably threatening in some way, shape, or form to hurt themselves. 5150 is different, Cherry. 5150 is just the police code for someone who is not, or at least in California, I believe it is. It's the code for mentally unstable that the police use. Yeah, I've got a 5150 here. That's what that is. It's a bit different, but or at least that's my understanding of it. And it's also a Van Halen album. But let's continue with the
Or is that he was grieving, and anyone who is grieving is sad over death. Was he sad over the death of Gabby Petito when he was grieving prior to going out on his hike, from which he did not return?
And Ashley, as I've said, all day long, because I know I've been getting heat on the use of that word. Yesterday was a very long day. The day before that was a long day. One of the last interviews I gave of the evening, which was a last minute thing, I used the word grieving, which I had been using all day long with respect to Chris and Roberta and the news of the death of their son.
Here come the excuses.
I clarified that. I said he was upset. He was distressed.
See, I missed that, but I guess a lot of other people caught it.
And this was several weeks later when Chris and I were talking about it. He said, Steve, he was upset. He was distressed. I knew I shouldn't let him walk out the door, but I couldn't stop him. I used the term grieving. It was probably a poor choice of words.
This guy is just, he's flip-flopping back and forth like crazy right now. Okay. So he just said right now, like just not even 3 minutes ago, he just said that he didn't seem distraught in any way, shape, or form. He seemed fine. He seemed perfectly coherent. But here he's saying that he was upset and he misused the word grieving to describe him. And he's now saying he probably should not have let him walk out the door based on the way that he was behaving. So which is it, dude? Which is it?
Grieving. Grieving was, used by myself multiple times yesterday with respect to Chris and Roberta, and it was a poor choice of words to be using for Brian.
So did Brian know that
that
Gabby
stands to
was
reason
dead
as well, right there? Still a very valid question, Sandy Smith. You're saying, why didn't the Laundries look for their son long before they found his remains? Why all of a sudden did they go look for Brian yesterday? Why did they wait so long? I've heard that the reserve was closed off, that they couldn't, supposedly, for whatever reason. I don't know. But why weren't they on TV pleading for his safe return? Why weren't they speaking to the public and making public statements pleading for his safe return? That's the question that's bugging me. They did not in any way, shape, or form behave like they were worried about their son. It's almost as if they already knew what had happened to him and had accepted it.
I can't answer that question. What Brian knew or didn't know would be privileged. It would be confidential, and certainly not something I can discuss now.
And respectfully, Counselor, I understand your privilege, but as a journalist, I do have to ask: did Brian kill Gabby?
That's it's a tough question to answer. Other than no, to my knowledge, I can't say that he did or didn't. I'm sure the FBI may be able to fill those answers in at a different time.
That's a yes.
Did Chris and Roberta Laundrie know
That's
if
a yes.
their son killed Gabby?
That is lawyer for yes.
I can't comment
That's
on that
attorney
either.
for
I mean,
yes.
What Brian told, when I say I can't comment, you're asking me what the parents knew, what their son told them. I do not know.
You have mentioned in other interviews that there will be time as we move ahead
I'm not
in this
100%
story
sure on that, Molly
for
Kane.
more questions to be answered, perhaps more secrets to be revealed. Clearly, there's no exposure for the youngest member of the family that you represent. He is no longer. He can no longer be tried for anything, even posthumously. So there's zero exposure other than legacy for Brian Laundrie. For that reason, how long will it be until you can actually tell us these things?
Yeah.
As I said, there are some unanswered questions. There are some issues that need to be resolved. There are, charges out there still in Wyoming. There are certain things that I even discussed with the FBI today with respect to Chris and Roberta that still have to be resolved. There's been those issues will be resolved in the coming days, weeks,
rightful
months,
finger
however
pointing.
long it takes. This is just wrapping up in the last 48 to 72 hours, and we're going to need some more time to work through this.
Mr. Bertolino, what do you expect is going to be found in the notebook? Because the Northport police are saying that it is
a bad
indeed
script.
salvageable.
Anybody ever see that movie? That movie's
I have no idea what's in the notebook. To my knowledge, the notebook
bad acting,
was,
horrible story.
something that was maybe on the trip. I've heard many different things about this notebook. I don't know if Brian wrote a suicide note or if he wrote a goodbye note. I don't know if it was just the notebook that contained drawings. We'll have to wait and see what's in there.
Confirming
Mr.
that it was suicide, but he's kind of confirming that it was a suicide.
Confession in that notebook?
Again, Ashley, I don't know what's in the notebook. The FBI may disclose what they find in there. They may not.
You are one of the last 3 people who spoke with him prior to him leaving with that notebook and a backpack and a dry bag. Based on his demeanor, and I'm not asking you to reveal what he said, based on his demeanor, would it surprise you if there were a confession in that notebook?
After the way this case has played out, I don't think anything would surprise me. At this point, even the fact that the Laundries, Chris and Roberta, are the ones who happen to find the items and the location of the remains. Everybody seems to be suspect on that. There have been so many twists and turns in this saga. I don't think anything would surprise me.
Do I take that as a no? It would not surprise you if there were a confession in that notebook?
I'll stick by my original comment, which is,
maybe it's a little hypocritical of me because of my thumbnail.
You may be bolstered to know that
and title. But I feel like the footage, it's bothering me that the footage that they're showing during this interview is all Brian and none of it's Gabby, because the truth is that's what this is all about. This is still very much about Gabby, and I don't want to take away from that in the slightest bit if I can help it. So let's not forget that, folks.
That the Northport police back up this notion that Chris and Roberta simply stumbled upon the dry bag and the notebook within about a 30 to 45 minute walk, whereby the authorities and millions of dollars of the highest tech equipment could do nothing of the sort in 38 days. For the public, it's confounding, and you have to
This guy's going to say something stupid about 2 or 3 feet of water.
The magnitude of the coincidence. The Northport police is saying it's also coincidental. But do you know any other information that would prove otherwise, that it is not coincidental?
Literally before this interview, I was on the phone with somebody who, has more information about that than I do. The cameraman that was there that filmed this, I have thanked the police for being there. I have thanked the cameraman for being there. And
Cherry's making a good point.
I understand that the public says this is confounding. It's unbelievable.
2 questions, 2 birds killed with 1 stone here. Cherry's making a good point in the chat. She's saying that that's probably why he's doing so many of the interviews, is just so that they can focus the media on remembering Brian over Gabby, which is dirty, but it makes sense.
But everybody who's been there and everybody who has firsthand knowledge comes back and says the same thing. This is the beginning of the beginning of the preserve. This is where Brian was known to hike. If he went into that preserve and did something to hurt himself, and maybe he did it right away, it would be expected that he would be found there. So, as coincidental as you say it is, it really is not such a far stretch to say that if Brian did in fact go to the preserve to hurt himself, and he did it right away, it makes perfect sense that that's where it is. The park was underwater. I'm sorry?
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know if he took any kind of medications out with him in the backpack or in the dry bag that might have contained any sort of substances that would have helped him in a quest to commit suicide?
I have no knowledge of any substances whatsoever, either prescribed or otherwise.
Do you have any knowledge of the contents of the dry bag or the backpack?
Not at all. And, to my understanding, the parents, Chris and Roberta, didn't know what was in the backpack, when Brian left the house. I believe we were asked that question on September 17th. And, Chris and Roberta said they didn't know what he put in the backpack. He just, had the backpack packed and said, I'm going out for a hike.
I don't buy that for a second.
I want to talk a little bit about the
I don't buy
timing
that
of
for a
all of
second.
it, because the press sort of, felt a little yanked around, as did the police, with the timing of when, Brian went on his hike. Originally, it was Tuesday the 14th, and then late into this whole ordeal, it became Monday. I heard you speak on Chris Cuomo's program the other day, suggesting that you, in fact, were the person to call the FBI and notify them the next day after he didn't return, which would be Tuesday, correct?
So it is correct that I notified the FBI, and, you'll have to forgive me because the days were blending together, and, I spoke to the FBI just today on that issue again. And, the FBI confirmed it is well documented on their side that it was Thursday. And, I was reminded that I specifically said, Brian didn't come home, tonight. Would you come home, having all the press and everything else going on out there? The confusion initially was Chris and Roberta were
home where I would
it was
stay.
Tuesday, and Tuesday night Chris went out to look for him. It was Wednesday that Chris and Roberta went to look and hiked a little bit in the preserve, and it was Thursday that they retrieved the car. We then received some information from press that indicated that they had video of the car in the driveway on Wednesday. So we had to go back with Chris and Roberta step by step of each day. They had been in their home every day. The days were blending together. It was very stressful. And when we went through the period and I showed them the video clip of the Mustang on I believe it was the 15th in the driveway, Chris said to me, well, then it had to be Monday. And I went back to the FBI, and the FBI
And
said,
yesterday
yes,
he makes a weird point. He tries to say, "Oh, well, nobody knew that he was gone."
So as I said,
like, how do you not notice the Mustang is gone?
And I only interrupt because I'm a mother of boys, and if my son had unexpectedly come home from a trip without his fiance,
Let him know, Ashley.
Stopped talking, refused to speak to police. She's reported missing. He is, in your, as you said, mistaken characterization, grieving. I mean, that tells me that he is apoplectically sad. As you mischaracterized it as grieving, it is at the very least horrifically sad. And he walks out my door and doesn't come home. I do not forget that date. That date is etched in my mind as a mother, and I dare say Ashley, that my children's father would feel exactly the same way. So I struggle with any mistake about what day my extremely distraught son went out on a hike and didn't come home.
And that may be true, for everyone. But I would also tend to bet that you haven't been in the position that the Laundries have been put in the last 3 to 4 to 5
Doesn't
weeks.
matter.
And in that week in particular,
doesn't matter.
They were in the house every day. They were going through it. I was relying on the communication they had, but there was no doubt in my mind that I was the one that called the FBI. And, I've had multiple conversations with the FBI, initially. And I even said to the FBI, I said, I know I told you that the night of or the morning after. So I was even hedging my comments because I didn't know in which conversation I had informed them.
So you don't know the difference
was it the
between
night
day,
of
is what
or
you're
was it the
saying.
morning after?
You don't know the difference
And
between night and day.
ultimately, in conjunction with the FBI, we all agreed that it was Monday the 13th. The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, Terry,
if you
I'm
will.
with you on that.
In this case, the reporter showed me that the vehicle was in the
he
driveway
pays
on the
hookers to
15th.
nut stomp them.
The FBI was, saying from the beginning of our conversations with them that it was the 13th. So when we put the sequence of events together, it was the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
And our Brian Enton asked Josh Taylor of the Northport Police about all of this timeline, and specifically your contention that you notified the FBI that Brian was missing the day after he didn't come home. And I'm just going to ask our control room to play what the Northport Police said today about that to Brian Enton. It was Josh on Brian being reported missing. It's not a flattering depiction of you, and they're flat out saying it's not true. So let me just play this moment for you, and I get you to comment on the other side.
Yeah, let's hear
Mr. Bertolino says that he called and reported Brian missing sooner than Friday, and that it was just the official report filed on Friday. Is that true?
I can tell you that the Northport Police Department, that when we got the call on Friday that he was being reported missing, was news to us. I was in the room myself. It was a very surprising moment. I can say that with 100% certainty. Whatever he may have said in passing, this is a situation where we're trying to, they were uncooperative on Saturday, not revealing any details. We've got a missing young lady. Really, their credibility was, what's going on there. If I'm understanding him correctly, he says that he may have said something to someone in the FBI. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. What I know is that none of our actions and what we've said show that that's a possibility at all.
So, Mr. Bertolino, they say the police and the FBI have been in lockstep all the way through this, and that they would have known had you reported it to the FBI. How do you respond?
So, Ashley, what I just heard, if you listen closely, is that the Northport police gentleman, Josh Taylor, I believe. I don't want to get his name wrong. Is it Mr. Taylor?
Correct.
Yeah, it's Josh Taylor.
Okay.
Fool.
So what Mr. Taylor just said was that I purportedly reported it to the FBI. He doesn't know. And therein is your answer. He does not know. I can tell you that the FBI does not have a problem with this. Today at 2 p.m., 2:15, I had a meeting with two representatives from the FBI in my office, and they once again concurred and confirmed there is absolutely no doubt that I informed the FBI that Brian didn't come home on day one. Let me tell you something else, Ashley, before you interrupt me again. I did not call anybody on Friday.
That's Josh's prom date right there.
Taylor's
watch how you talk
press
to
conference on Thursday. On Thursday, Mr. Taylor said, when asked a question, do you know where Brian is? He said yes. He was asked a question a little bit later in that same presser, do you know exactly where he is? He said yes. I was shocked. I immediately called my client and said, do you know where Brian is? Because I don't, we haven't seen him. Was he picked up? Because if he was picked up by the PD, they would have to inform me. And they said no.
Yeah.
At that point, I got a.
Here's the story. Come on.
I'll disclose this. I reached out to somebody in the afternoon, and I got an ethical opinion as an attorney for Brian Laundrie as a missing person. Perhaps what could I do? Once I received that ethical advice, if you will, decisions were made between me and Chris and Roberta. With that knowledge, Friday came. Friday evening, somewhere around 4:45, I received the call from the FBI. let me be perfectly clear.
That dude's got pasties on his
Unequivocally,
nipples during this
I
interview, by the way,
received a call
guys.
from the
Just saying.
FBI. I did not call them. It came up on the screen in my truck. I told my daughter she needed to leave the truck. The FBI said to me, we got a tip that Brian was seen in Tampa. And I said, that's wonderful, because as you know, we haven't seen him all week. We told you he was missing. And the FBI agent said, yes, we know that, but we want to come to the house to see if he's there.
Is what he's got.
And I said, well, who gave you the tip? Who said this? Because I thought it was a ruse for the FBI to get into the house.
That's what he's got.
Was my belief. I then said to my daughter that I need to take care of this. And I told the FBI that I needed to take care of something with my daughter. We agreed on a time for 6:15. At 6:15, the FBI came to the Laundrie residence on the 17th. They came inside.
With the clamps. Yeah, with the clamps.
I was here in New York and on FaceTime.
He likes to electrocute himself a little bit.
We
Get a little
agreed
shock.
that the best course of action and the formal procedural course of action would be to file a missing persons report.
I agree with you 100%, Kareem.
Brian
This guy just keeps making their image worse and worse and worse every time he goes on TV.
Into locating him. Somewhere along the line, perhaps someone from the Laundrie family household, and it wasn't Chris and Roberta, must have got the paperwork, called it in, got some kind of case number. Whatever they did, I don't know. But that's how it played out. And the FBI—
Was that Cassie?
Excuse me?
Was that Cassie who did that?
Cassie was not in the household at all. There was Chris, Roberta, there was a representative, there was two representatives, I believe, from Northport PD. There was a representative from the FBI and myself on FaceTime. For 2.5 hours, we gave the FBI all the information we had with respect to Brian. The FBI has never had an issue with this. And if you listen closely to that clip that you just played, you will hear Josh Taylor say, Mr. Bertolino or the attorney may have told the FBI, I don't know. And here's
this guy is totally lawyering right now.
Wednesday,
like this
and
is
Thursday,
all lawyer talk.
Nobody
Like this
from
is
the
exactly
FBI
what a lawyer
called
would
me
do.
and said, have you seen Brian? On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I did not reach out to the FBI and say, we haven't seen Brian. Because quite frankly, we didn't think he was, quote, missing. He went out for a hike. Brian had packed a bag. He routinely went for hikes for days. And it wasn't thought of that he was missing until Wednesday or Thursday. We started wondering, what do we do? And then Thursday, the events unfolded I just told you about. And then Friday, the events turned around with the FBI.
Shut up.
That's how it played out.
And so you're, just to be clear on this, because it's not, you talked to the FBI and said Brian hasn't returned on Tuesday?
No, I didn't say that. I said
Wednesday?
No, I didn't say that either.
I
said on Monday when I reported to the FBI that Brian didn't return home, the next
hold it. Monday, he went on the walk.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
And he never returned
And you're
home.
saying Monday night? You made a reference to him not returning home, or was it the next day you told the FBI?
What I said to you was that I had multiple conversations with the FBI during, Monday and Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I did not recall whether I mentioned it to the FBI on Monday night or Tuesday morning. The FBI confirmed with me that their records reflected that it was Monday night.
So you were talking to the FBI on Sunday, even before he went for the walk. And you were talking to them on Monday before he went for the walk. And you talked to them on Monday after he went for the walk?
Okay, actually, you're bringing multiple issues together.
I'm trying to get
watch
clarity.
your tone,
That's
Pasty.
all. Just details matter on this one.
They do. On Saturday
Check your
evening
tone,
into Sunday morning at 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night, I got the first phone call regarding this matter. At 1:30 in the morning on Sunday was the first phone call from the FBI on this matter. At 8 a.m. on Sunday was the next phone call from the FBI on this matter. It was a different agent. It was on the initial introduction, if you will, of this case. On Monday, 2 FBI agents came to my office to introduce themselves and to discuss this case.
He's just talking in
On
circles.
Monday evening
He's just talking in
my
circles.
recollection, Tuesday morning, I reported to the FBI in a normal conversation that Brian didn't return. Upon going back and forth with the FBI on the actual conversation in which that was reported, the FBI confirms that it was Monday the 13th that their records reflect that I told them that Brian didn't come home that night. On Tuesday,
now that I have that up,
now hold on.
I was just going to say,
want clarity.
Yep.
On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there was zero communication with respect to where is Brian between me and the FBI and myself.
it's all just surprising because Josh Taylor said today
It's all
they were
surprising
in
'cause you're
lockstep
lying,
with the FBI
dude.
all the way along. Even the Northport police chief tweeted out, "Get us an interview
No,
with your
Ashley,
client
you are
on the
wrong.
following Wednesday."
Play
Hey,
that
No,
clip
that's
again.
what
I
they
said
told us
check your
today.
tone, pasties.
That's what they
No,
told us
let's-
today.
That's
Play the
Josh's
clip
prom
you
date
just
right
played,
there.
And let's listen again where he says, "I do not know," because that's what he
Okay.
says. Ashley.
I'm telling you,
I thought
they
you wanted
told our
clarity.
Brian Enton today
Ashley,
in a whole, it's a 15-minute interview, sir. It's a 15-minute interview, and they said that they've been operating in lockstep with the FBI all the way along.
Okay, play the clip you played a moment ago, and let's listen to him say,
Okay.
"I don't know."
You know what? We're going to
I
wrap
thought you
that
wanted
clip up.
clarity, Ashley.
We
thought
absolutely
you wanted
100%.
clarity.
That's why you're here.
This guy sucks, dude.
100%, and we're going to rack that clip up.
He
It
does,
takes a
Billy
minute or
G.
so.
He
I'm going to go
totally
to
needs
break,
his
get the
own lawyer.
controller to do it, and after the break, we'll play it, and we'll get the clarity on that. Is that okay,
And
Mr.
guys, just so you
Bertolino?
know,
That's fine with me.
Okay, we'll see you in just a few minutes.
keep things clear. All right, I want to clear this up before we can do. All right, see Billie Jean there in the chat. Okay, she's not my lover. Okay, she's just a girl who thinks I'm the one. Okay, but the kid, not mine. Just saying, not mine.
We are back with Stephen Bertolino, the attorney
Oh, he
for
brought
the
Brian
Laundrie
on.
family. And Mr. Bertolino, the
Brian's
clip
like,
that we
yeah, I want a
played is
piece of this
full
guy.
minute long.
I want a piece of
But
this
the
guy.
person who actually conducted the interview is Brian Enton. And he has the full characterization of what the Northport police told him for 15 minutes during that interview. So I'd like to turn it over to Brian Enton for a moment to tell you exactly what they told him. Brian, Mr. Bertolino's on with the two of us.
Hi, Ashley. Hi, Mr. Bertolino. I've been in touch with Mr. Bertolino for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Basically, Josh Taylor with Northport Police has said that the way he has phrased it, that they are at the same table, sitting at the same table every day as the FBI, sharing information, constant communication with each other. And I was thinking back to that week when the police chief had that press conference. On that Thursday, the police chief said that he had that he knew where Brian Laundrie was, but it wasn't just that Thursday. Almost every day when I interviewed Josh Taylor, I would ask him, "Do you know where Brian Laundrie is?" And he would say, "Yes, we know where he is." So I was just listening to your conversation between the two of you, and it's just those interviews we did, and not just us, but many outlets were doing them with the police. They were on TV every night, and it's just hard to imagine that the FBI was also watching this and had this information from Mr. Bertolino, but wasn't sharing it with Northport PD.
Right, exactly. Kind of weird.
Good evening, Brian. How are you?
Good.
I'm
good.
doing
Nice to hear
great.
your
How
voice,
about
Mr.
you for the
Bertolino.
question, buddy?
Pleasure. I wasn't sure if it was my turn. And Brian, I concur. It would be
He's
hard to
totally
believe that, right?
stalling.
So
He's stalling.
2 days ago, I had a
good at
conversation
it.
with somebody
He's
in
not even good
Northport
at it.
PD to clear the air on this one as well. And I offered to put myself on speaker so that brass could hear it, so that the upper echelons could hear it, that I wasn't trying to, quote, put the Northport PD under the bus when I brought this up. They told me in no uncertain terms that they had no idea that the FBI knew about this. They were completely shocked on Friday to learn that Brian wasn't in the house. So Brian, everything you say makes sense. Absolutely everything you say makes sense. But I will tell you, it is not my responsibility to communicate between the FBI and Northport PD. I can tell you once again, as sure as I'm sitting here talking on this screen, The FBI confirmed in my office again today at 2:15. This is a non-issue for them. They have it documented that Brian was reported missing by me to them on Monday evening. My recollection was it was either Monday evening conversation or a Tuesday morning conversation, but I know that I reported it on day one. That being said, Ashley, you told me you would replay that clip. What you chose to do
she
was bring
didn't. She
Brian
said she was
Enton
gonna.
in.
She was.
I would ask
She was
you
gonna wrap it up.
respectfully. Let's play the clip. Let's hear not from Brian. Let's hear
This
from
guy
Josh
is
Taylor once again.
An
I can spare the
asshole.
Let's
You
play
got
it.
well.
because you wanted clarity
We've had
before the- hold on.
we've had 40 with you, but the control room is about to play it. So control room, fire
Let's
away.
hear him
Let's
say,
roll.
I don't know. Let's listen to
Mr.
that.
Bertolino says that he called and reported Brian missing sooner than Friday, and that it was just the official report filed on Friday. Is that true?
I can tell you that the Northport Police Department, that when we got the call on Friday that he was being reported missing, was news to us. I was in the room myself. It was
Friday.
a very
Friday.
surprising moment.
He was being reported
I can say that
missing
with
on
100%
Friday.
Certainty. Whatever he may
Now
have said
he's
passing, this is a situation.
Let's stay on top of this here, people. Okay. So this man just said that he was shocked when he learned the news that Brian Laundrie was reported missing Friday. Okay. Friday. Now, Brian's douche-faced lawyer just now said that he reported Brian missing either Monday evening or Tuesday morning. Now, he doesn't know the difference between night and day, but that's what he's saying. Between Monday and Tuesday morning.
Where we're trying to, they were uncooperative on Saturday, not revealing any details. We've got a missing young lady. Really, their credibility was, what's going on there. If I'm understanding him correctly, he says that he may have said something to someone in the FBI. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. What I know is that none of our actions and what we've said show that that's a possibility at all.
Do you see
Do
what
you
they
want to
said? Nothing
apologize,
that they
Ashley?
say says that it's
Ashley.
a possibility at all. I mean, did you hear that last line, Mr. Bertolino?
Yeah,
Nothing that we
did
say
you hear
says
that?
that's a possibility at all.
What he said was he may have said it in passing, and then he said, I don't know. That's what he said, Ashley. I'll take
No,
the
he said it's
apology
not a
now.
possibility
I'll
at
take an
all.
apology, he says.
No, he didn't say that.
I'll take an
Not with
apology.
Brian
This guy
Enton.
had the testicular
I think
fortitude
we
to
should get
tell
Brian
Ashley
Enton, and he conducted the
Banfield,
interview. He sent
I
us the
will
tape.
take
We've
an
now played it
apology
twice.
from
Go
you
ahead, Brian.
now.
Well, I just had a quick question for Mr. Bertolino that I was thinking about. I mean, if he was at home watching the news all week and hearing the police say that they had eyes on Brian, and the Laundries were watching the news or were hearing from Mr. Bertolino that the police were saying that, but if they were worried about Brian and he was missing and, they wanted him to be found, like, wouldn't you want to correct the record so that people would actually be looking for Brian?
Exactly.
So, Brian, you're not going to get to the bottom of this. I'll get past
Dance around the
fact that
question,
Ashley
sure.
won't concede that what was said out of Josh Taylor's own mouth was that I may have said it in passing and that he does not know. Let's move past that because the tape speaks
No, we're
for
not
itself.
moving past it. We're not moving past it just because it's inconvenient for you. And Margot saying, holy hell, I would hang up on him. She has so much class. Well, it's not so much just that she has so much class. Don't let that be the focus as to why she hasn't hung up on him. She's a smart reporter. What she's doing is she's making him angry. She's getting under his skin, and he is emotionally responding. And when you emotionally respond, you are more likely to blurt out something that you don't want to blurt out. So she is doing her job as a reporter. Very, very good job, I might add.
So what I will tell you, Brian, is we were not at that moment, we were not concerned that Brian, had hurt himself or wasn't coming home. Chris and Roberta had indicated to me that Brian had gone out
Then why'd you report him missing?
and hiking for multiple days, many, many times. He was a young man. They weren't concerned. They thought he was clearing the air, clearing his mind. It wasn't until we got the call
Yeah,
on
with a
Friday
bullet.
that there was a tip he was seen in Tampa that we were
Then
concerned.
why did you report it to the FBI, Mr. Bertolino? If they thought he needed to clear his mind and
Exactly.
he's an avid hiker and camper, why were you calling or talking to them on Monday night or
Exactly.
Tuesday morning saying, "Ooh, yikes, he hasn't come home"? Why is it an issue?
Ashley, nobody said yikes, he hasn't come home, Ashley. So let's
Why
skip
would you
that,
report
okay?
it to the
But
FBI
why?
if he didn't
No,
come home, if he just
Ashley.
needed to clear his mind?
Lose the word report. I was having conversations with the FBI
This isn't a
couple
courtroom,
of times a
dude.
day
Same rules don't
on
apply.
those few days. What I said to you was, in my conversation with the FBI, either Monday night or Tuesday morning, I mentioned to the FBI that, by the way, Brian didn't come home. As part of that conversation, I was reminded today from the FBI. He said, yes, I remember distinctly because you said to
This
me,
guy sucks,
would you
dude.
come home with all those press in front of your house?
Okay, got it.
Contact
Got
the FBI.
Yep. Okay.
Specifically
If I
reminded
can,
You're a
me
liar.
of that
I want
Got
to
it.
keep you over the break. I'm losing commercial breaks, and it's a machine I can't stop. But I do want to ask you after the break about the Northport police saying that they lost him, that they just screwed up and they didn't see him leave to the reserve, which ended up with a dead man in the reserve. I want to get your reaction to that. We're back with Stephen P. Bertolino and Brian Enton after the break. All right, Mr. Bertolino, quick question. The police said that they lost your client. There was surveillance on him, and when he went off to the reserve, they didn't even notice the Mustang leaving. Does that mean that Brian Laundrie is dead because the police lost him, or is Brian Laundrie dead because Brian Laundrie did it to himself?
Brian
No,
Laundrie's
Ashley,
dead.
You can't blame
Let me
the
answer
police.
that real quick before we let this douche answer. Brian Laundrie is dead because this idiot did not advise his client to turn himself in. Brian Laundrie is dead because this idiot encouraged his parents to enable him and his actions. That is why Brian Laundrie is dead. Plain and simple.
You can't blame the FBI. You can't blame the parents. I've had people blaming me for the last couple of weeks and specifically the last couple of days. Bottom line is we don't know the manner or cause of death of Brian. We can surmise, but let's take an hypothetical and say that Brian did, take his own life. If that's the case, that's on Brian. It's not on the parents. It's not on the FBI. It's not on the police.
It's on
not
you.
on me. And
It's
I think
on
we need
you.
to wait
No,
and find
it's
out
on you.
exactly what happened. The parents don't blame the police. You shouldn't blame the police.
Parents should be blaming
and
themselves.
That's just wrong.
I have to squeeze in another break, and I have one final question for you. We've blown every break out in the show, so if you'll permit me, right after the break, I'll be back with our final question with Stephen P. Bertolino. Back with Mr. Bertolino, the Laundrie's lawyer. Stephen, there's a critical question here. I have 2 minutes left until the end of the show, but I must get you on the record on this. You told me at the beginning of the show that you spoke with the Laundrie family together on the 12th and the 13th of September, that's Sunday and Monday, and he went for his walk on the Monday. But if you spoke with all three of them together, there is no privilege. And you know that as a lawyer. So what did Brian say about what happened to Gabby before he left for the swamp?
Okay, so Ashley, if you heard what I said, I had multiple conversations with the Laundries. I had private conversations
Dakota, what
with
are you
Chris,
doing?
private conversations with Brian, and I had conversations with Chris and Roberta, and I had conversations with them together. I know these people. Some of parts of the conversations when they were all together had nothing to do with attorney-client privilege. And a lot
when you
to do
were
with
together,
just
what
catching
did he
up.
tell you? Because there's no privilege when you're all together talking. And you did say on this
Get him,
program that
Ashley.
you did have conversations both days with them all together as a family meeting. What did they tell you? Because that is a privilege.
I disagree. I think, you can represent multiple clients, as you know. You can get waivers of representation, as you know.
No, you can't. You can't have that conversation in criminal, and that does mean that the privilege is waived. You can do it in real estate. And gosh, will you come back on Monday? I have 22 seconds left until the black cutoff of this program happens. But I have not finished my conversation with you, Mr. Berlin. Would you come back Monday? I will. I'm calling you Monday,
Mushy.
Mr. Berlino. Thank you for spending the hour
I
with
love
us.
it.
Have a good evening.
There you have it, folks. Yeah, she did a great job with that interview. I think she did not take it easy on him at all whatsoever. She asked him tough questions. He danced around those questions. He contradicted himself multiple times. And I am, based on all of the press that this dude has been giving, since Brian Laundrie's untimely demise, we should say, he has basically indicated to me that he and the Laundrie family were perfectly aware of Brian's actions and what took place. They know a lot more than he was letting on, and I have no doubt in my mind of this at this point. I just don't. So, yeah, dude's a liar. He was caught lying. And I mean, it blows my mind that this dude is the spokesperson for this family. And I agree. I've seen people make this comment, and I've been saying this. I've been saying it since he was giving public statements via Twitter. I've been saying this dude is not helping the Laundrie's image at all whatsoever. They should fire him. They should absolutely fire him, because he's not helping, and he's getting as much press as he could possibly get in order to get clientele, I think. But he's failing. He's failing because he's lumping himself up to being the most hated lawyer of the most hated family in America, without a doubt in my mind. Right. He won't acknowledge he won't acknowledge Gabby, which I find infuriating. And America is finding that infuriating. It's not about Brian. You know, the fact that the only thing that is disappointing about Brian no longer being with us at this point is the fact that he may have answers that we'll never get. But most importantly, answers that the Schmitz and the Petitos may never get. So, Leo, shut up. Anyway. Yeah, so he's absolutely, in my personal opinion, that to me is the only reason that it's even remotely disappointing. Because, like I say, folks, to me, justice is justice, but it's not our place to determine what justice is. What's our place to determine what justice is whatever the Schmitz and the Petitos determine to be justice. That's what our place is. The victim's family always have the say over what is considered justice, because they're the ones they're the only ones to determine what they should be, what should be considered closure for them. It's not for us to decide. It's not for law enforcement to decide. It's for Gabby's family and Gabby's family alone to decide. Well, they've been identified by the FBI as Brian's remains, so it doesn't matter what they think. You know, Tracy Wilcox, did you see the news that his parents are not even thinking the remains are Brian's? I did not see that, but it doesn't matter at this point, because the FBI have released a press release, a statement, an official statement saying that through dental records, they identified the remains as being Brian Laundrie. And it's just that simple. Yeah, I can't get past that either. That this guy has the audacity to somehow compare Brian's parents and somehow expect the public to feel bad for them after the way that they were so dismissive of Gabby's family. Now, the thing about that is that's exactly why we're all here. Like, we cover real crime cases all the time. People get unalived all the time. We cover them all the time, right? But the reason why this got national coverage and all the attention that it did, not because Gabby was a pretty white girl. No, 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 no. Make no mistake about that. It is due to the circumstances surrounding the situation. And those circumstances being mainly the way the Laundrie family has dealt with this, how dismissive they have been to the Petitos and the Schmidts, how disrespectful they've been to Gabby's memory. That is the reason why this is getting so much attention. That is why the focus of Ashley's questions and the focus of the other interviewers that we watched last night, that is why that focus is on what did these people know? How much did they know? This isn't, nobody feels sorry for the Laundries for these reasons. Nobody does. People are protesting in front of their house for this reason. People aren't trying to protest in front of the house to get some sort of attention, except for one person who we already talked about. But the reason why people are protesting is because they want justice for Gabby's family. They want justice for Gabby and her family. That's why. That's why this is getting as much attention as it is. That's why these these questions are focused based on what did the Laundries know. Yeah, I don't know when I've ever seen this in a case. I don't think I ever have. Danielle Baker. I don't know when I ever have. Yeah, this whole missing white girl syndrome is just some made up crap by some correspondent on CNN, just to add to CNN's weird woke agenda of whatever. That's, it has nothing to do with race. They're making it about race, and it has nothing to do with race. Okay, tell that to all the media and the people surrounding the Maya Millette case. Okay, she's not a white girl. Okay, but people want answers and they want justice. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I would imagine that they would. I don't see why they wouldn't. They should. And if they choose not to, I would absolutely respect them for that too. Whatever they choose to however they choose to deal with the situation, they have absolutely every right to deal with it however they feel the need to deal with it, as long as it's within the boundaries of the law. Oh, look who my man is in the house. What's up, dude? Y'all, if you guys don't know Mr. Nut, that's my boy right here. I messaged you, dude. I messaged you because I was hoping to have you on panel while this dude was missing, because based on your profession, I figured you might have some insight as to what the search would entail and how they would have any type of how they would go about looking for him. But I mean, they found him. They found his remains, so that's over with. But I would still like to have you on panel if you have insight on this case. I've been really active talking about this case, and Josh from Dad Challenge podcast, if you can believe it, has actually been on this. We're no longer doing true crime anymore, Mr. Nut. What we're doing is real crime. # real crime. That's what we're doing now. So yeah, if you can, so hopefully we can maybe set something up because Annie's actually, she's been kind of behind the scenes on this. Annie just had a baby, and she's been kind of behind the scenes on this, and she's been working on other cases, but the whole world is talking about this case, so that's why she hasn't really, there's other cases that need attention, and she's been doing that, using her platform for that, but she has opinions. So it would be pretty awesome if the four of us could plan something and do a live together. That would be fun. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I messaged you through Discord, so I think that's the only place that I can contact you now, Mr. Nut, because you no longer have a Twitter that I know of, and I don't know. Are you still on YouTube? I mean, obviously, because you're messaging me and you're wrenched, so it's still your original channel. Yeah, right. That would be super fun, Lori Barlow. Yeah, man. Oh, sweet. Send me that link through Discord, dude. Actually, blast it in the chat so people will follow you. Absolutely. Go ahead, man. Put the link of your Twitter in the chat. Yeah, we're getting the band back together, bro. That's what's happening. Yeah, that dude. Yeah, that dude's a douche face, man. I mean, I'm just not. Yeah, the dude sucks. Not Mr. Nut. I'm talking about the lawyer that we were just watching. That dude is the worst. Not officially, Billie Jean. Not officially. We just kind of went our separate ways and did our own thing for a while there, you know. But there's yeah. See, everybody missed you, bro. Yeah, Corrine, I'm with you on that. You're saying I hope the Notebook would have some sort of confession, but it's more than likely going to be filled with him whining and feeling sorry for himself, much like the movie The Notebook. A lot of whining and feeling sorry for themselves in that movie. That's exactly how I feel about that movie. I hate that movie so much. I absolutely hate that movie. Let me. I gotta follow Mr. Nut on Twitter too, bro. There we go. All right. I'm gonna shoot you a message too, so that I know how to. There we go. So this way we can continue to communicate via Twitter. Unsubscribed. Why did Sherry Thomas unsubscribe? What did I do? What did I do to hurt you, Sherry Thomas? I thought we had something special. Oh, it's because you love the movie. Yeah, dude, let me tell you something, dude. That movie is that is the worst movie. Like, dude, I Irish Eyes. I've never hated a movie more in my life. Like this, the leading lady in that movie, okay? The leading lady, the lead female character in that movie is consistently from beginning to end the biggest pain in the nards, okay? Like the dude, my man built a house for her, dude. Okay, he He built a house for her, a dream house for her. He built it by himself with his hands, dude. Okay. Got in the newspaper and everything. What'd she do? She goes and hooks up with some other dude, taking his feelings for granted. Dude's all bummed out. And then she comes back. And then dude's like, what do you want? What do you want? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. And then to the day of her death, she is high maintenance. To the day of her death, as they're elderly, she is high maintenance with Alzheimer's and forgetting everything. And the dude is just always working for her. Now, I'm not trying to take jabs at people who have Alzheimer's. I realize it's a sad thing. What I'm saying, though, is the entire movie, she's praised, and because women love that movie, she's praised, and this dude is completely and totally unappreciated for his sacrifices. Absolutely 100% unappreciated for his sacrifices. And don't get me started on Jenny, Sandy D. Jenny, hoe-ass Jenny. Man. Okay. Now, I get that she had a rough childhood. I understand that. Forrest had a rough childhood. Everybody calling him stupid. My man overcame his obstacles. Okay. My man got to running, knew he could run. Okay. Found his niche, didn't make excuses, didn't resort to playing naked folk songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Look, people love The Notebook. That tells me everything I need to know. Like, if I'm swiping, if I'm over here swiping, that's going to be a left. As soon as I see Notebook, as I'll love The Notebook, swipe left. Tells me all I need to know about you. Tells me everything I need to know about you. What movies do I like? Not The Notebook. And I like Forrest Gump too. I mean, Forrest Gump's a good movie. You know what I'm saying? I just don't like Jenny. We were like peas and carrots. Shut up. Man, don't you know when a girl takes your feelings for granted, bro? Have some self-respect, Forrest Gump. Come on, bro. Fight Club's a good movie. Big shocker there. I got a man in my chat, and he's like, yeah, least favorite movie, The Notebook. And here's a shocker for you guys, right? Here's a shocker for you guys, okay? You know what my favorite love story is? My favorite romance film of all time? Brokeback Mountain. Yeah, I said it. Straight man can't like Brokeback Mountain. It's got an original story. It's fantastic. Okay. The acting is superb. If you look at Heath Ledger's role in Brokeback Mountain and contrast it to the Joker in The Dark Knight, dude, my man had chops. Like, dude had some serious acting chops. Yeah, you know, this thing we're doing, you know, you can get us killed. You know, and then he does the Joker, which I'm not even going to try. Man. See, it's a good movie. All right. Man enough to be able to admit that. It's a good movie. Yeah, now you're talking Guy Ritchie. My favorite Guy Ritchie movie, Mr. Nut, is probably Rock and Rolla. I think Rock and Rolla is awesome. Ooh, Drive was good too. See, and I love Ryan Gosling. I think he's great. Drive is probably my top 10 favorite movies of all time, actually. Drive is fantastic. People expected Drive to be like a Fast Furious kind of movie, but it was like a real deep character study, which I thought was like really awesome. Exactly. All guy movies are great. See, I mean, people made such a big deal about that movie. Like, oh my God, it was so gay. Like, there was like 2, maybe 3 scenes where they got like physical with each other. You know, the rest of the movie was just about 2 men living in Wyoming during a time where that was just unacceptable, completely unacceptable. Oh man, and I talk about this all the time. You guys, people love Boondock Saints, right? Let me tell you something. If you can find, like, try to find it online if you can. But there's a movie called Overnight. It's a documentary. Okay, all right. You guys are talking about. Boondock Saints. Now, people love that movie because this dude who wrote and directed the movie, like, got this movie independently made. Kudos to him for that, of course. You know, he was a bartender in Boston, and he just, on his free time, when the bar was slow, he would be typing up this movie, right? And then he went and got it made. Now, this documentary called Overnight, it's a documentary of this movie trying to get produced, right? Now, originally, this is very, very interesting because originally Miramax was going to pick it up. Miramax was really, really hot at the time. It was just this up and coming huge company. Obviously, now it sucks because it's the Weinsteins, and we all know about Mr. Harvey Weinstein and how much, you know, my man's in prison, and rightfully so at the moment. But at the time, the Weinsteins were just coming up, and Miramax was a big deal, and they were going to pick up this movie. They were going to buy the screenplay, and I'm not sure if they were going to let him direct it. And yes, Irish Eyes, great documentary about Troy Duffy, but and yeah, that's the name of the guy, Troy Duffy. Now, Miramax was going to pick this movie up, and there were people like Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon that were in talks for playing the lead role. This was supposed to be this huge budget movie. And what happened was Troy Duffy was such a pain in the ass that he just got on the Weinstein's nerves, on their last nerve, because he was such a prima donna and thought he was changing the world with film and blah, 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 you know, insisting that his band do all the music and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, and the Weinsteins just dropped him. But then he ended up somehow getting it independently made. And the movie became extremely successful, became a cult classic. Somebody mentioned Sopranos. I recently am rewatching Sopranos. I'm on like episode 3 of the first season now. I watched it when it came out, but now that I'm older and I'm a different person, I'm definitely going to be looking into that. Because that sequel, or that prequel film, I should say, where they got Gandolfini's son to play a young Gandolfini, and he's a spitting image. It's amazing. So I really liked that. Joel Meek, Mystic River, fantastic movie also. Clint Eastwood is probably easily one of my favorite directors. That's for sure. The Wire is dope. I've watched it too recently before I decide to rewatch that show, but I love that show. I thought it was great. And The Departed, yeah, great movie. A lot of great lines in that movie. Scorsese is amazing. There's a sequel to what? No, there's a prequel to The Sopranos on HBO Max. Lisa Mack, on HBO Max, there's a prequel to The Sopranos, a prequel movie, and it's pretty great, actually. If you're a fan of the show, you'll enjoy it. Well, good for you. I'm glad you like that. That at one point was my favorite Disney movie, but I'm not a big fan of Disney movies. I'm not a big fan of Disney as a company, if I'm being honest. Yeah, thanks for dropping by, Mr. Nutt. It's always great to see you, bud. Joe Amber Franklin is like way behind, but okay. If he was underwater, that bag would have floated and the police would have seen it when they were searching. Not necessarily. I don't know about all that. Doesn't mean that it would have floated. It could have been lodged under something. I mean, you don't know. I haven't watched Yellowstone. Almost Famous. Almost Famous is one of the few Cameron Crowe movies that I can even stomach. That and Vanilla Sky, and Vanilla Sky doesn't even count because it's a remake of a Spanish movie. When I say Spanish, I mean from Spain, and it's called Abre los Ojos. Dude, most of us on YouTube are down on Disney, man. Disney's awful, dude. They're a terrible company. Yeah, the Outlaw Josie Wales is pretty awesome. That has one of the best lines like ever, dude. Like I love that. Where Clint Eastwood is like in like a saloon or whatever, just your typical like cliche scene where he's in a saloon and some dude is like, "You Josie Wales," and then he's like, "It depends. Are you a bounty hunter?" And the guy's like, "Man's got to earn a living," and he goes, "Dying ain't much of a living." Like I remember watching that and being like, "Yeah, Clint." That's why I love Clint Eastwood, man. Crash is totally overrated. I mean, it was cool, but you know, like I like movies I could watch over and over again. You know what I mean? Crash isn't that kind of movie. Like I know it won Best Picture that year, but pickings were pretty slim. You know what I mean? And I don't invest much in the Oscars. What are you doing, Panda? Are you okay? The hell? You good? Anyway, Squid Game. I watched Squid Game. You know what's funny is I liked Squid Game. I thought it was good. I mean, I don't know if I feel like it deserved all the hype that it got. Because I remember even like Annie was texting me going, "Have you watched Squid Game yet? Oh my God, it's crazy. It'll blow your mind." And I was like, okay. And then I watched it, and I think because she was just like, "Oh my God," I expected to be like, "Oh my God," and I wasn't, you know, like when things are built up too much for me, then I'm gonna be like, you know, okay, impress me, go on. And I just watch it like a snob. But now, as far as Netflix like one season series go, I highly recommend Midnight Mass. It's called Midnight Mass. I highly recommend that. It was really, really good. Just fun to watch. Really crazy. Squid Game was good. I'm just saying it was way too hyped up for me. People hyped it up way too much. Yeah, I really liked Midnight Mass. It was like the way I described it to Annie was like it's like Interview with a Vampire meets the Jonestown Massacre. That's my son really likes Supernatural. He says the first couple of seasons are lame, but then it gets like really good. But I can't get into, I mean, I can't really get into the CW shows much at all. I honestly can't. I like F-bombs on my TV shows too much. But now, Midnight Mass, MASS. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Harlan. And I like when series are like over and I can like just binge watch it all. I don't like having to wait 2 years for another season. That drives me crazy because I completely forget what the hell took place prior to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. Like I gotta rewatch. I gotta rewatch. God, what is the name of that show, man? Oh, it's on Netflix. Jason Bateman, help me out. Ozark. Ozark. Yeah. Thank you, Corinne. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch the whole thing before this next season comes out early next year. So I mean, yeah. I like the ranch kinda. I mean, Lori Barlow, do yourself a favor and get started on it. I'm telling you right now, it's a fantastic show. It is great. It is great. Yeah, Ozark, it's coming, Lisa Mack. It's happening. It's happening early next year. And The Walking Dead, man, dude, The Walking Dead, like after like the third season, I was just like, I'm not gonna continue putting myself through this. Like everybody's gonna die. I know it. So I don't care. I don't care about this anymore. Um, is anybody excited about ex Dexter coming back? If you're a woman, it is. Joelle. If you're a woman, it is. um, I thought it was too chicky, too chick flicky for me. You didn't know Dexter was coming back? Yeah, man. Dexter's totally coming back. How do you guys live under a rock? Yeah, Dexter's dude. Like here, man. I'm gonna do you guys a solid real quick. Hold on. Let me do this real quick. It's called Dexter New Blood. All right. So here, I'm gonna share in the chat the trailer for it. I'm not gonna play it here because I feel like I'll get stricken or struck or whatever. But here's the trailer for it. Oh, I watched Dune between last night and today, Catherine, and I really liked it too. I did enjoy it. I look forward to part 2. Right. Everyone hated how Dexter ended. I hated how Dexter ended. So I'm glad that it's coming back because I did like the show. I really did. Yeah, I don't follow hockey. I like it. If it's on, I'll watch it. You know what I mean? But I don't really follow it, Mr. Harlan. I don't know any of the players or anything. But if the Blues are playing, I'll watch it. You know, if I happen to catch a Blues game, that's what I'm watching. But I don't follow who's number 1 in the league. I don't follow the players. Same with football. Same with baseball. I just don't. It doesn't affect my life in the slightest bit. But I do enjoy it. It does entertain me to watch a game. I'm interested in that too. Todd Kimberly. I'm interested in the Chucky series too, but I don't see myself sticking to it and being like, oh, I can't wait to find out what happens here. I mean, how long are you gonna drag Chucky? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's a bummer. Like, why does St. Louis have a pro football team anymore? Like, that's really annoying that they haven't picked one up yet. Why not? Justified. I didn't watch that, but I like Timothy Oliphant. I like him. Isn't that him? Isn't that who that was? Yeah, I mean it's right around the corner, right? Like it's crazy. It's not like we have to wait like another year or two for this. Like it's right around the corner. Like the new season of Dexter is coming out like, like in a couple weeks. I did watch that. I did watch that. I can't help it. I have to watch whenever Lifetime makes a movie about these cases, these real crime cases that I follow. I have to watch it. I even though I know it's going to be awful, I just have to watch it. The Watts movie was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. The whole thing was focused on Strive. Thank you, Cherry. Cherry, guys, has like I told you guys, she has a typo issue. So it's actually real crime that Cherry means to say. It's a typo issue. So, let's be nice to Cherry in chat. Yeah, there's a Lifetime movie about Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. Yeah. I am probably going to do that in Patreon because it's an old case. It's a typo, Cherry. I'm probably going to do that in Patreon because it's an old case. I cover what I usually do in Patreon is I'll get a bottle of scotch or bourbon, and I will get extremely inebriated and go over and cover retro cases, which is fun. It's fun. So there's drunk history. I do drunk real crime, which I need to change my Patreon. I need to change that. I need to edit it because it says true crime, and that's just not correct. It's real crime. So the movie Gone Girl, which is a David Fincher movie, fantastic movie, same director as Fight Club, and Seven that somebody mentioned in chat, and the director of some of the episodes of Mindhunter on Netflix, and David Fincher also directed the Zodiac movie. He's a fantastic director, and he did Gone Girl, and Gone Girl is loosely based on the Scott Peterson case. I'd rather give respect to it's the Lacey Peterson case. I'd rather give respect to her rather than the perpetrator. But it's loosely based on the Lacey Peterson case. But there's a crazy twist to the story which makes it very fictional. and I was watching, I going through a YouTube rabbit hole. I saw a video, a clip uh, of Gone Girl with David Fincher doing commentary over it. I guess it's on the extras of the DVD or whatever. But interesting thing was Ben Affleck. David Fincher calls Ben Affleck in that commentary, he calls him very unprofessional because they had this whole to do. Like Ben Affleck's character had to wear a Yankee cap to try to hide from the public. While he's at an airport, he puts on a Yankee cap. But Ben Affleck is a huge Boston Red Sox fan because he's from Boston. So he refuses to wear the Yankee cap. And this actually stops production for days because his people have to negotiate with the movie company for him to have to wear this Yankee cap because he hates the Yankees. It's hilarious. And so, of course, David Fincher is just like, yeah, it was totally unprofessional. It really just got on my nerves. Gone Girl is a great movie until the end. No movie, no ending of a movie has ever infuriated me more than Gone Girl. Ever. Like, Matrix Revolutions comes close, but no movie ever made me more mad than the ending of Gone Girl. And you wouldn't think he does. I bet you he doesn't even think he is such a diva. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're playing a character in a movie. You know, does sports really matter that much? You know, it's a character in a movie. It's not like you're wearing a Yankee cap. It's your character who's kind of a douche anyway. Gone Girl is not the story of Amber Heard. Stop talking about my girlfriend like that, Cherry. Okay. Amber Heard is the most lovely, most beautiful person ever on the planet. I have not seen that yet. That's on Netflix, and I keep finding something I'd rather watch. Everybody like, what? What? Everybody hates when I say nice things about my sweet, lovely Amber. Oh, it's going to be on HBO Max too? Sweet. I think I'm going to get some mushrooms for that. Because I saw the first Matrix. I have to keep the tradition going. Because I saw the first Matrix when gel tabs like first came out. We went to the theater and I haven't been the same since. So I think I might eat some mushrooms for the new Matrix. It's that good, huh? Yes, it was so good. Serial killer movie, 100% recommended. I thought it looked pretty lame at first. Okay, you sold me. I think I'm going to watch it. I think I will watch it. The main chick in all movies. Okay, the main chick in the greatest of all movies ever. And the only reason any of these movies are any good is because Amber Heard is in them. Okay, it's very important that you guys know that. Hi, Jolene. What's up, baby girl? Hi. Oh, I love you too. I love you too. Pretty girl. You're such a pretty girl. Jolene, do you love Amber Heard? Do you love Amber Heard? Huh? You love Amber Heard? See? Yeah, lick my hand if you love Amber Heard. Doggy troll. Doggy troll. She's so cute. Hey, doggy troll. That's so funny. That is so funny. I don't have any peanut butter on my hand, Jerry. Billie Jean. Fun fact about the song Billie Jean. So you guys remember We Are the World, right? USA for Africa, right? Back in like the 80s. So USA for Africa was basically every pop star that you can think of at the time that was popular in one room recording We Are the World. Leo, stop it. Stop. What? Shut up. So everybody was in on We Are the World, right? And at one point, Michael Jackson approaches Daryl Hall, right, from Hall & Oates, and he says, "Hey, I hope you don't mind me stealing your music for Billie Jean." And Daryl Hall was like, "What? I don't even know what you're talking about." So apparently he was like, "Yeah, the bass line. I used the bass line from," so the song, "I Can't Go For That." Whoa, no can do. I can't go for that. So the bass line for that song is the exact bass line for Billie Jean. And I didn't know that. I had no idea. And Michael Jackson basically just kind of like, "Hey, I hope you don't mind I stole that." And Daryl Hall was like, "I didn't even know until you told me. Cool. Glad you like the bass line." And he was super cool about it. Didn't sue him or nothing. All right. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the legend of Billy. Right. Mm-hmm. I got it. That's usually what I mean, that's my go-to, man. Like if I can't decide what I want to work out with, like I just like find like an 80s playlist and just let it just go. Cuz like 80s music I can either really enjoy or ignore. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for keeping me entertained. I wasn't even going to go live tonight, and then I realized I was like wide awake after Josh's live. And then I was like, you know what? It's Friday night. Maybe people will want to hang out. I did not know that. Yeah, it is now Saturday. All right. Good night, Margot. All of this is absolutely untrue. All of this is absolutely untrue. Right down to the word true crime, because it's real crime, people. Real crime. Yes, I work out. Yes, I'm going to crush Mexi and Josh in this competition. I do not eat Taco Bell, and I crave ice cream. Like lately, I've been craving ice cream so bad. Like I want one of those, dude. You know what I want real bad right now, man? Like I want one of those drumstick cones with the stale, chewy cone. Like I want that so bad right now. Oh, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying I don't eat it right now. And this is the kind of encouragement I get because she's Team Mexi. Like my own right hand mod is Team Mexi. Shut up, Little Red, y'all. Shut up. Shut up. Just stop it. For life, yo. Mexi stalker vibes. Mexi better watch out. Cherry's name is Cherry Tart, by the way. Cherry Tart. Did you see what I did there, Cherry? Did you see what I did there? Let's see. My mom had a 76 Gran Torino, and we used to listen to Meatloaf when we'd go on long trips back in the day. The awesome 8 tracks. Meatloaf. I could never get into Meatloaf. Oh, Cherry Pop Tart. I used to read those comics. I used to love those comics. Dude, that sounds like pure hell. Being stuck in a car where people are singing and listening to Meatloaf. God, I'd be praying to go over a bridge. Just go right off of a bridge. I would be praying for it. Yeah, except for Meatloaf. I would do anything. But I won't do that. All right, guys. I love you very much. We will do this again very soon, my friends.